I'm going to tell you something I've never told anyone in this much detail. Not my daughter, not my sister, not any of my closest friends. But there's something about this space, this little camera, that makes me want to talk. Maybe because I know that whoever is listening to this probably understands what I'm about to say. Maybe because you've already felt the same thing yourself. When I turned 59, I retired. I had worked 32 years as an administrative assistant at an accounting firm. 32 years. Every morning, coffee in my cup, bag on my shoulder, commute, work, commute, home. Weekends cooking, organizing the house, helping the kids, and I never complained because that was life. It was what everyone did. It was what I knew. But then retirement came, and with it came something I wasn't prepared for. It wasn't happiness. It wasn't that relief everyone talks about. It was silence. A heavy silence I didn't know existed inside my own home. I would wake up in the morning, make my coffee, and stand there looking out the window, not knowing what to do with all those hours stretching out in front of me. The kids had their own lives, my husband still worked, and there I was, alone with all that time and with this strange feeling that I had lost something I couldn't even name. It wasn't depression, at least I don't think it was. It was more like a kind of disorientation, as if I had been very good at being an employee, good at being a mother, good at being a wife, but I didn't really know who I was when I wasn't being any of those things. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's a complicated feeling to put into words, but if you've made it this far in this video, I think you understand. So I started looking for something to do. I tried knitting. I really did try. My neighbor makes the most beautiful rugs, but I'm too restless. I ended up throwing it all away in the second week. I tried baking cakes to sell, but then it started feeling like work again, and that wasn't what I wanted. I tried the gym. I went 3 times and quit because I didn't feel comfortable there. All those young people, the loud music, me feeling invisible in a place that was supposed to make me feel good. And it was on an ordinary Thursday afternoon, nothing special happening, that I walked out to the backyard. There was nothing special about that backyard. There were some old stones my husband had stacked there years ago with the idea of building a garden bed that was never built. There was grass growing every which way. There was an old poinsettia that had survived by some miracle. And there was that feeling of abandoned space that every neglected backyard has. But I stayed there. I don't know why. I stood there looking at those stones, at that messy grass, and for some reason I thought, what if I did something here? Not a big renovation, not a magazine-worthy landscape, just something, some life. I started turning the soil with my hand. No gloves, no tool, just my bare hand. And it calmed me in a way I can't explain logically. There's something about the texture of soil that makes time slow down. It makes the thought stop spinning. It's almost physical, that feeling. I stayed there on my knees in that grass for about 40 minutes, just turning the soil. And when I stood up, I felt different. I don't know another way to say it. That became a ritual. Every morning after coffee, I went to the backyard. I started learning to tell the weeds apart from the plants I wanted to keep. I started noticing where the sun hit hardest, where the soil held moisture after the rain. I started understanding that a backyard has its own logic, almost its own rhythm, and that when you begin to respect that rhythm, it includes you in it in the gentlest way. But I wanted more than just cleaning and organizing. I wanted to plant. I wanted to feel that very specific thing of putting a tiny seed in the ground and watching it become a plant. I think anyone who loves gardening understands that desire. It's almost primal. It's almost magical. So I started researching, and the more I researched, the more lost I got. There was too much information. Every website said something different. Every video contradicted the one before. What kind of soil to use? How deep to plant? Which herbs go together? I found myself doing the same thing I do with recipes, opening 10 tabs at once and executing none of them. That's when my niece sent me something. She lives in the United States, and she occasionally shares things she finds there. She sent me a link to a seed kit she had bought for herself. Herbs, traditional ones, and told me the educational material that came with it was really good for someone starting from zero, that everything was organized, clear, without having to search in 10 different places. I got curious. I asked for the link. I researched more. I read quite a bit before buying, because that's the way I am. I don't spend money on impulse. And when it arrived, I remember opening the box on the kitchen table and just looking at it for a long time before doing anything else. There was something about having it there, organized, with a clear starting point, that gave me a confidence I hadn't felt in any of the other projects I had tried. I won't tell you it was easy from day one, because it wasn't. I planted some seeds wrong at first, buried them too deep, overwatered one week, underwatered the next. There's one I killed twice before I figured out what it needed. Twice. I laughed at myself a lot through that process, I'll tell you that. But I laughed. And how long had it been since I laughed at myself without embarrassment? Little by little, it started working. I watched sprout after sprout appear. I started learning that each plant has its own way, almost its own personality, and that when you start observing closely, you start to understand. Lavender, for example, doesn't like too much water. It prefers strong sun and soil that drains well. Chamomile is more forgiving. It grows almost without you having to do much. And calendula blooms in a way that almost seems intentional, as if it's trying to cheer you up. It's that orange, that present. The guide that came with the kit was essential. It wasn't just about planting. It had explanations on how to prepare simple things with each herb after harvesting. Not medicine, let me be very clear about that. That's not the kind of promise I'm making. But traditional recipes, things that grandmothers used to know by heart, that the women of other generations carried with them, and that our generation started losing because it became easier to buy everything ready-made. Simple infusions, macerations, things like that. And there was one specific moment I will never forget. It was a Saturday afternoon. My husband was on the couch watching a game. My daughter had stopped by earlier in the day and taken the grandchildren out. The house was quiet in that good way, you know? The kind of quiet that doesn't weigh on you. And I went to the backyard, picked a handful of chamomile that I had planted myself a few months before, made a simple tea, and sat in the little wooden chair we have by the wall, drinking it slowly, looking at the plants. And then I thought, I did this. This tea came from here, from these hands, from this soil that used to be abandoned. This peaceful moment came from a decision I made on an ordinary Thursday afternoon. I cried a little, not from sadness, That kind of crying when something fits so perfectly that it becomes too big to hold inside. Today, the backyard is a completely different place. I have 6 herbs growing strong. 2 I'm still figuring out. 3 I've already replanted because I want more. Every morning I go out there, water them, observe, talk to them a little. Yes, I talk to my plants. Judge me if you want. And that heavy silence that scared me when I retired? Gone. Because I have somewhere to put my hands, something to watch, a rhythm that's mine. My daughter noticed I seemed so different, she started asking what I had done. My neighbor asked me for cuttings. A friend from our group chat got so curious she came to visit just to see the backyard. And I was never one to have people over, right? Now I have something to show, and look, I'm not an influencer. I'm not a gardening expert. I don't have a degree in any of this. I'm a 60-year-old woman who found in a backyard what she couldn't find at the gym, in knitting, or in selling baked goods. I found presence. I found stillness. I found something that is mine. If you've made it this far in this video, I imagine something I said resonated with you. Maybe you're also in this phase of reorientation. Maybe you also look at your space and feel it could be more. Maybe you simply love plants and want to start but don't know where to begin. What helped me take that first step in an organized way was the kit my niece recommended to me. The Medicinal Garden Kit. 10 types of traditional herb seeds, non-GMO, packaged, with a complete guide on how to plant each one and how to prepare simple traditional recipes with what you grow. It comes with a 1-year guarantee. And it included 2 bonus materials that I still use today. It's not medicine. I don't treat any illness with this. And if you have any health condition, please talk to your doctor before using any herb. But as a backyard project, as a hobby that truly keeps you engaged, as a way to reclaim knowledge that the women in our families once carried and we slowly lost, for me, it was life-changing. I left the link pinned in the comments below for anyone who wants to take a look. And tell me, do you have any plants at home? A little herb garden, a pot on the windowsill, anything at all? Write it in the comments. I love hearing from you. See you in the next video. And this time, I promise I'll film from inside the backyard itself, so you can see how beautiful it's getting.